Hey, welcome back to That God Power. I know it's been so long since we've done That God Power that I didn't even say the intro right. I'm supposed to say, welcome back to That God Power, the channel that's going to unlock the God Power that's laying dormant on the inside of you. It hasn't gone nowhere, dog. We back in here, dog. 2025, what's up? And I thought that 2025 is a new year, so why not do some new things, right? And something new was the world when it got started, when it got created. Like, I thought, let's break down the book of Genesis for this year. At least let's start with Genesis. My goal is to do 3 books from the Bible this year, break them down, talk about it. But I think that we should start with Genesis. So, chapter 1, we would get into it, but you know how this goes. We have to do an intro first of what even is Genesis. So, the book of Genesis is the first book of the Bible, and this is the book where God created the heavens and the earth and humans, and the story of Adam and Eve. This is the story of Abraham, Noah, Isaac, Jacob. Uh, yeah, pretty much Joseph. I didn't say him. But basically, the word Genesis, it means intro, or it means origin. Sorry, it means origin. So beginning, or Genesis, the beginning of something, or the origin. And it explains the beginning or the origin of the world, or the origin of humanity, and the origin of family, civilization, and the concept of salvation. So the concept of Jesus. We're actually going to see Jesus throughout this book. Surprisingly, y'all, like when I was reading through here, I was thinking about it. And yeah, man, we see Jesus in the book of Genesis. But anyways, the way it works is it starts with God creating the earth and everything in it, including men and women. And then sin entered into the earth. We all know that story with the serpent. We're going to break this down. This is just the synopsis right now. And then that basically caused a fallout between man and God. And the fellowship between man and God was broken. And that was, that was a really bad thing. We'll see the consequences of that later. Adam and Eve, they got kicked out the Garden of Eden, and their firstborn son, he turned into a murderer. Evil kept multiplying and multiplying. Then God sent a flood because he was like, this can't go on like this forever. And it took away everybody except one family, one guy named Noah and his family. So they survived and they started to repopulate the earth, right? You know what I'm saying? And then it tells how, like, after their repopulation of the earth, it gets to a story of a guy named Abraham. And he's chilling in the plains of Canaan, right? And this is where God shows his covenant with the people. So after he already destroyed the earth, he made a covenant with Noah, like, I'm not going to do that again. Then he made a covenant with Abraham, as we'll see when it comes in here, when we break it down. And it's like salvation comes by faith, because Abraham, in one of the stories that we're going to break down of him, he showed like the ultimate sign of faith. Like, this dude had max faith, like faith 99 level. Then it tells the descendants of Abraham, who are God's people, and it tells the story about Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. And then those stories detail their lives and show how God's working with his people. You know what I'm saying? Then the book shows how God uses the most ordinary people to do extraordinary things. Now, you'll see that throughout this whole book. Now, this book doesn't include Moses' story, right? It ends right when it gets to that. So we're not going to get into Moses' story. We're only getting into the people that I just named. No matter how sinful and how separated from God you might feel, there's salvation and it's readily knocking on your door. All you got to do is open up to it. Another thing is the purpose of the book. So I just want you guys to keep that little message in your mind. But let's go through. Why was the book of Genesis even written? And who wrote it? Who wrote the book of Genesis? That's a good question. I didn't know that. But did y'all know that Moses wrote the book of Genesis, bro? Like, so I'm guessing when he went up to the mountain, which is not in the book of Genesis, that's in Exodus, so the next one. But when he went up to the mountain and got the 10 Commandments, maybe at that time God was like, yo, this is how everything got started, bruh. And then he was like, all right, bet, I'm gonna write it down in Genesis. So I didn't know that. That was pretty cool. But the purpose of the book was to record God's creation of the world so that we all know how it all got started, and how he has a desire to have his people set apart from the world and worship him. So it shows like what we're actually supposed to be doing. Is pretty plain and simple. People overcomplicate things throughout life, as you'll see in the stories that we'll break down. It's mad simple, but then you add in emotions and all this extra stuff, and you overcomplicate it. When was this book written? When was it written? I didn't know that either, but it said like 1,450 years before Jesus. So 1,000 something years before Jesus, which is, yeah, that's wild. That's a long time. That means the people in this book, because they live, we'll see this too, they live for like 800, 900 years. That means while this book was going on, if it was written 1,400 years ago, that means all that was taking place even another 1,000 years or a couple more 1,000 years before that, because you'll see how long these people live for. It's a long time, bro. But where was it written, or where is it detailing? They don't know where the Garden of Eden is. That's the thing. Scientists still don't know where it is. And when we break that down, I think it's in chapter 2, you're going to be like, all right, I guess this is why people don't know where it is, right? You know what I'm saying? But they don't know where it's at. But you would assume that it's somewhere in the Middle East, right? All life and all that stuff started over there in the Middle East, Africa. So you would assume it's somewhere over there. But also think about this. It's also like 3,000 plus years ago. I mean, I guess, it's written 1,400 years ago. But again, remember, people lived for 800, 900 years. So let's say 3,000 plus years ago. When I learned about the globe and geography, there was something called Pangea, and so all the continents were supposedly closer together in like a shape. I don't know if that theory's been debunked or not, or if kids are still learning that or not. But Pangea, like way long time ago, all the continents were fit together, and if you can see it, they kind of fit together like puzzle pieces right now. So that's kind of where that theory comes from. It's kind of loose, but it makes sense. So if that's the case, then what we're calling the Middle East may have been a lot different. It may have been parts of Africa, and slowly over the millennia, it drifted away from each other. But yeah, man, I hope y'all are excited to break down the book of Genesis, because this is going to be lit. This is the first book of 2025. We're back on God Power in 2025. Let's go, dog. So we're going to learn a lot, because I've actually learned a lot. And a lot of the God Power that I did, I guess, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I've come to watch it, and I'm like, wow, I've learned so much since then. So I can't wait to share my knowledge of reading these books with y'all, because this is about to be really dope, man. So hope you have a beautiful, wonderful, lovely day, and that you're looking forward to breaking down Genesis chapter 1 in the next video. But most importantly, I hope that you know that I forgot how that shit goes. I hope that you know that you got that God power.